And we are back. Hello and welcome. Few reminders: if you like the previous theme, make sure to go to a ProtoPlay website to give them a vote, and you can use the hashtag this way, hashtag ProtoPlay on Twitter if you got any comments or you found any games cool or just want to share anything. Okay, without further ado, hello and welcome. This time I got a member of Dark Arts Production with me. Would you like to introduce yourself and your team, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm Luke. I'm the audio designer in the team. And yeah, so Dark Arts Production is a group of students from the games course Masters and also some graduates like myself who really like the idea of making a horror game. We thought, why not? And jumped onto the idea of making this, and yeah.
Okay, speaking of this, I think I need to give people an idea what you are talking about exactly. So hold on to your seats, guys, because this is a really immersive title. Let's get started with inspiration. What took you to this place? What made you think, I want to scare some people?
So we've looking at like other horror games and stuff, like a majority of them are based within like quote unquote like villages or like houses, and like the only big horror game in the like that we can remember from being set in space is Dead Space.
Yeah.
And you know, that's like the first one's from 2008, so there's been a long while since something big I think has been a horror in space. So we wanted to change that up and just sort of go, let's just take it back to this and see how it goes, and mess around with a bunch of different things with it.
Okay, I see. Before we continue, I need to touch on the user interface, which essentially like such a key part that I think makes the game so immersive, which is the helmet that the player is essentially wearing, right? What was the design choice behind that? At one point in development, you were like, "This is working. I love this."
So we actually tried just the camera, the first-person perspective, without the helmet, and it just on our perspective, we just felt it felt a little bit flat. So we wanted to add a little bit more, and we had the idea of, well, they're in a space station. There's the chance that they might be wearing a helmet. So we thought, yeah, it's usually the simplest of answers. So we just thought, well, let's just try it, chuck it on. Mm-hmm. And once we had it running, we were like, oh, this looks really cool. It adds, you know, a good layer to it where you feel like you're very immersed and you are this character. But it also adds another dimension where it's like you can feel very claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too much when you're playing the game, but it's definitely another layer when you're playing it.
Oh, 100%. I was about to actually touch on that. The fact that the player's vision is reduced, something that you take for granted in many games, that you can see everything. What this helmet does is actually reduces your vision, which I believe this is a huge game dev talk. But I think because you are reducing the vision, it makes the horror aspect of it much more impactful, I feel, because you do see less on screen. Technically, you can still see all over the place, but it limits the current view that you have of the area you are in, which I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. We wanted to like have the idea of like, you know, you might get something behind, you know, in some horror games you get stuff behind you, but what if you have something that's just out of your like vision to your right or just out of your vision to your left, where you might just take that and pivot and turn to your left, and then you see something, you know, like you get scared from that. So yeah, we wanted to not just be stuck with like, oh, something's behind you and that's that. It's the idea of like something could come from your side or come from above. So yeah.
I see. Okay, awesome. Would the helmet element be something that you are most proud of, or is there something in the game that we as a viewer might be missing, but you are just extremely happy about how it came out?
So I'm like, on my side, I'm very like happy with the helmet. I think it adds another dimension, as I've said.
Yeah.
But I like the environments. I really like. I think add to the game. Like we are looking into other aspects for like doing stuff like environments where the premise of the game is very much psychological horror, where you might go into one room and you go in and it's fine. You go out, do a task, try and figure out a puzzle. You come back, and then that room you went in previously is changed. Whether that's the decor, something like the tables and stuff has moved around, or even just like the walls have just changed, like gone grotty, and so it's stuff like that where the ideas are like those kinds of ideas are there. You just need to get them fully implemented, which is getting there.
I see. What are you thinking in terms of target audience for this game? Although with horror games, it's pretty, well, it's horror game and enjoyers pretty much, you know, horror game and enthusiasts. Is that what you are looking into, or are you thinking maybe an audience that isn't used to horror games might reach out for this game and want to play it?
Well, that would be a good hope. Like, you know, we get some people who aren't really into horror games and delve into it. Like, that's definitely a big thing, because, you know, we want more people to play horror games. We want, and as well, we want to scare more people, hopefully. Anyway.
Great.
But yeah, like definitely looking more of like the, you know, like that's very cult following of like horror games. Like there's I don't think there's like loads of horror games being like pumped out all the time, but it's this thing of, if it's a good horror game, people love it, and people talk about it as, you know, word of mouth. Like as soon as someone in the horror community says this game is awesome, I really like this game, or it's really scary, you know, it spreads like wildfire. And that's like a big hope for us as well, that we can do that, but then also hopefully pick up some new players along the way. That is definitely a bonus.
So what makes your horror game the horror game? Like if you are looking to, let's say you are gonna be investing much more time into it, which I'm gonna ask about in a second, what do you reckon makes your game the good horror game?
Well, we were discussing about stuff with like randomized audio and visual cues during the game. So we sort of want each playthrough to be a little bit different to everyone else's. So, like for instance, like the idea, not going like ridiculously into too much detail, but it's like you can walk down the same corridor, and the idea would be, say you walk down that corridor, maybe 8 out of 10 times nothing happens, but maybe 2 times you'll just get like a vent just pop in, or just like some random audio cue above you behind you or something. So we just want to be like, it's that thing as well where we want, you know, people to be like, oh, what did you think of this part in the game? And then someone goes, that didn't happen to me. It's like, oh, why did it happen to you and not to me, kind of thing. And then they go replay it, and then they might like, oh, I got that happening to me.
I see.
We want to add like different elements to it, where it's like, you know, randomized stuff, but not going over the top with it. That's the main concern, I'd say.
No, I think that's a great answer. It was a really tough question. Sorry about it. It was a really tough question, I would say. Now, tracking a bit back, what are the future plans for the project? I think it's really looking great, and it has that level of polish. It really does. Visually, I think the environment, the lights, and the concept behind it is nice. But something that I'm curious about is like the future of the game, and what are you looking into in terms of other environments? Like, what is the world based? I think in the video we have a sneak peek of the sun. Can you maybe touch on that a bit?
So in terms of like environments, I think the main station is what it is at the moment. But I think the big thing for the environments would be there'd be some new areas being unlocked as you go through the game and you progress through the story. But then the big change for the environments not being, say, like added like 10 new rooms, but it would be each room might change. So it's going back to that point of like, you can walk down that corridor and you can walk down it again 2 minutes later and it's completely different. It like from either being really worn down or something, things coming out of the walls kind of thing. So like big inspiration and stuff like that was like, stuff like Event Horizon, where like they walk down in the corridor in the ship, and then as the viewer you can see behind the characters and see the walls just covered in like people and blood and stuff like that, but not but yeah, it's stuff like that, but then it's not overdoing it, but then it's also just making sure that when it does happen, it's a very crucial point, and it makes the player a bit tense, and that's like the idea for it.
I see. I'm loving what I'm hearing, to be honest, because that's not something I ever thought, or I've never seen like combined too much, which is just it's just sounded like a procedurally generated horror, but with this level of polish, I think you have a project at your hands which really has a lot of potential. And even though I'll be honest with you, I'm not into horror games. I like not to be scared. Maybe it's just me. But I like to just relax with video games, have some fun with it. But I like where it's going. I do like where it's going, and I think the fact that this mystery is created. I love mystery in video games. I love not knowing lore-wise what's gonna happen, because oftentimes I would find it too easy to predict what's gonna happen next. When I don't, I'm intrigued, and I think this game, although it would scare me 5 minutes in, definitely, it does intrigue me. I do want to know what's going on. Why is there a sun? What was this figure we saw? Why is the helmet sort of like melting away? Not sure what's going on there, but stuff like that. I think that's great. I'm just gonna move along and ask few more technical questions. People are asking about the engine. We actually have had 2 people ask about the engine. So, what is the engine?
So we're running in Unreal Engine 4 at the moment.
Okay.
In the future, depending on what's happening with Unreal Engine 5, I think that would be something cool to look into as well. But just because of it being in beta or alpha, I can't remember which one it is at the moment, we just thought we'd just stick with Unreal Engine 4 at the moment. But yeah, I hope that answers the question.
No, absolutely. It was a very simple question. Perfect answer. Another one was about actually your process of like QA testing. So maybe you can touch a bit of like how was the development throughout the enterprise pathway, right? How did you manage to QA test and find the right design solutions that will suit your game?
So for QA testing, we haven't done a lot. Okay. It's basically just been very much in quote unquote like in-house, where it's just like us just going through the game and just pointing things out, I think it's that we're trying to break our own game, see if there's any bugs in there or things that need to be fixed. So, but coming into the future where there's going to be, the scope is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Hopefully not too big, but then I think we'll look into getting like some QA testers to actually fully test the game and just see if there are like any major problems with it.
I see, because something that was actually mentioned in chat was regarding movement within your game, because I do understand that horror games pace-wise most tend to be a bit slow, and I think that's what one of the viewers noticed. So maybe I can pick your brain a little here. How are you looking to maybe solve that, or are you looking to keep the kind of slow movement and keep the gameplay flowing the way it is currently?
So from my understanding of what we're doing, we want the player to be slow. We don't want to add anything like sprint mechanic or like a jump or anything like that. It is very much like a slow-paced game, but I think when there's more going on in the game, I think I think that will then add the tension to what you're playing, because then you're gonna have more visual cues, you're gonna have more audio cues going off and stuff like that. So yeah, I think as far as I know, I'm not technical side, so in terms of speed, I'm not sure if we're going to change it or not, but I know for a fact that we weren't looking into doing something like a sprint mechanic or like a jump mechanic or anything. Maybe we'll increase the speed, the movement speed, just to make it a bit like easier to traverse across the station, because that is a big problem if people don't want to play it because they don't want to traverse from one side to the other because it's too slow.
I see. I certainly would love to play it, but I would be scared to play it. Maybe not. I wouldn't say I'd be scared. I would be scared when I play it. Hopefully, that's the goal of the game, right? Yeah. Speaking of, the goal of the game is to be scary. Is that where the dark arts production comes from? You are creating the dark arts in the horror genre.
Yeah. So I think it was just mainly like, oh, we're doing a horror game, so we gotta pick something kind of like spooky to go with it as a business name or like a team name. So I think that's where that come from.
I see. Someone made a great comment in the chat about implementing VR into your game. Have you looked into that?
We've discussed about it very briefly.
Okay.
VR would be really cool. I think it would be really cool. But at the moment, I just think we wanted to sort of do we wanted to focus away from VR. It's something maybe we can look into the future, I think. But I think that's more of like way into the future.
I see. Yeah. Fair enough. Can you actually touch on the game name?
So
if you are keeping that.
So the game at the moment is called Confinement. Again, as far as I know, I think that's going to be the final title. As many things, things can change. Things can change. So, but for now, the title of the game is Confinement.
I think it's actually very fitting. Personally, I think it's extremely fitting to what you are saying, and yeah, especially with the sort of UX you have created, which is phenomenal. It's really really great. You said earlier there wasn't too much QA feedback, but maybe have you had a chance to show someone the game? Like, what were the reactions like from people who like maybe played it for the first time?
So we haven't like done like loads, but we have like shown like some friends and family, just like to like what do you think about this game, like how do you feel? And some people have played it for a few minutes and then they just like, I don't like it. So like this is is that because they don't play horror, or is that just it is too much? Hopefully that's just a thing of they might not play horror, so but I think it's the idea of getting a good balance, so you're not quote unquote scaring new people away, but you're not being too not being too soft for like people who like really like horror games, because the people who like horror games, they want to get scared, or they want to feel as if like they've come away from a really weird experience, I feel. Yeah,
it's certainly a very I think it's a very niche target market, but I really do look forward to the development of your game, and as I said, I do feel like it has potential, and many players I always hear saying that the horror genre actually needs more good games, because I feel like that what the genre is defined as itself there hasn't been too much innovation. There has been some, definitely more in indie areas, but not so much in the industry. You sort of get very similar sort of titles, so having you guys work on it is amazing. It's great. People need you. People need you. People definitely need you. Industry needs you. So it's amazing to see you participate in the enterprise pathway. So what can we expect and when can we expect?
So from now we're still building upon the game. I think in the new year we're planning on taking it to a few shows.
Okay.
To get some feedback from the public, developers, publishers, hopefully as well.
Okay.
And from that then just build upon and polish the game then even further.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's our plan. I think as well we have discussed about getting like a sort of like a build demo build for like streamers to play. Get like word of mouth going for that, and then also just hopefully looking to maybe doing like a little demo for on a Steam or on Epic or you know, any other platform that we'll be able to get like people's feedback from.
Yeah. No, I think that would be great, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. Best of luck with the ProtoPlay voting. Reminder that people can vote by clicking the panel below the stream. If you enjoyed confinement and you like being scared, you can click the link. It doesn't bite. You can click the link, go to the website, and that's where you guys can vote for Dark Arts production. I think we'll be finishing up here. It's been really a pleasure talking with you. Maybe any shout outs you would like to give? Any messages to our viewers listening?
If you'd like, we're on Twitter called Dark Arts Production 1, I think.
It's right.
If you
right there.
Cool. And yeah, if you like what you're seeing, please vote for us on the ProtoPlay. Like, tweet, retweet everything we're doing. Share out the game. We want to, you know, push this forward.
Absolutely. It has plenty of potential, and you definitely should go for it. That's why the enterprise pathway is there, right? Is there to aid you into your journey. Okay, once again, it's been a pleasure chatting with you, and best of luck with ProtoPlay and with the game's development. Thank you.
Thank you very much.